Adolf Hitler.
He is the architect of one of the greatest disasters the world has ever seen.
Germany has invaded Poland.
The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor.
Germany has declared war on Russia. France has surrendered.
Hitler comes in and he tells you you are important. He tells you he has a plan, and he tells you he knows what's gone wrong and he can fix it.
Adolf Hitler's name is one of the most famous and feared in history. He started as a nobody and became a ruler who caused huge destruction.
Adolf Hitler, a tyrant who orchestrated one of the largest genocides in human history, rise to power in a democratic country.
This is the story of how he gained power and then lost everything. In just over 10 years, he changed Germany.
Adolf Hitler was a fanatical leader, a megalomaniac who led his country and many others into the abyss.
Started a world war and left millions dead. Born in a small town, he wasn't rich or special at first, but he had big ideas and a loud voice that got people to listen.
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe.
He turned a broken country into a war machine, and his choices hurt the whole world. How did a guy who couldn't paint become a dictator? And why did it all fall apart? We're going to look at his life step by step, his beginnings, his rise, his time on top, and his end. It's a wild story about power, hate, and what happens when things go too far. What makes someone want to control everything? Let's find out. Rise to power. Adolf Hitler was born in 1889 in Austria, in a little place called Braunau. His dad was strict, and his mom was kind, but he wasn't close to them. He dreamed of being an artist, but art school said no, twice. With no plan, he moved to Munich, Germany, and lived poor, selling a few paintings. Then World War I started in 1914. He joined the German army as a messenger, running notes through gunfire.
In September 1919, a former amateur artist and army veteran named Adolf Hitler joined the ranks of the German Workers' Party, later known as the Nazis.
He liked the war. It gave him a job and a purpose. But Germany lost in 1918, and that made him mad. He thought Jews and weak leaders sold out the country with the Treaty of Versailles, which took Germany's land and money. Back in Munich, he found a tiny group in 1919 called the Nazis. He started talking at their meetings, yelling about enemies and making people cheer. He was good at it, and soon he was the boss of the group. In 1923, he tried to take over part of Germany in a fight called the Beer Hall Putsch, but it failed, and he went to jail. There, he wrote a book, Mein Kampf, about his plans. After jail, he kept pushing. By 1933, Germany was broke and sad from losing the war, and people wanted a strong leader. Hitler used that. He promised jobs and pride. The leaders picked him as chancellor, thinking they could control him. They were wrong. He got rid of elections, shut down other parties, and took over completely. How can tough times push people to follow a bad leader? Height of power. By the mid-1930s, Hitler ran everything in Germany. He fixed the money problems by building roads, cars, and weapons. People got jobs, and they liked that. But he broke the old rules from World War I. No one stopped him. He said Germans were the best and needed more space, so he planned to take it. He built a huge army with planes, tanks, and ships. In 1938, he grabbed Austria without a fight, then took part of Czechoslovakia. Nobody fought back much. Then, in 1939, he attacked Poland, and that started World War II.
September 1939. The German foe begins its ruthless march of conquest and sets the stage for World War II. Poland's 34 million inhabitants, crushed, scattered, and enslaved.
His army was fast and strong. Poland fell in weeks. Next, he hit France, and they gave up quick. Britain got bombed, but held on. Hitler's land stretched from France to Russia. At home, he used movies and posters to make people see him as a hero, almost like a king. Kids joined his groups, like the Hitler Youth, and learned his ideas. But if you didn't agree, you were in trouble. He set up camps, places like Dachau, where people got locked up or killed. Then came the Holocaust. He hated Jews and said they were the problem. His men rounded up millions, Jews, gypsies, disabled people, and killed them in camps like Auschwitz. Gas chambers and guns took lives every day. By 1941, he attacked Russia.
In the summer of 1941, Hitler orders a surprise invasion of the Soviet Union, catching his ally completely off guard.
Thinking he'd win fast. He controlled so much, it felt like nothing could stop him. But he was wrong. What happens when a leader thinks he's always right? Downfall Hitler's big mistake came in 1942. He sent his army deep into Russia, to a city called Stalingrad. It was freezing. Soldiers had no coats, no food, and the Russians fought hard. Germany lost over 300,000 men there, and that broke their strength. Hitler wouldn't listen to his generals. They said, pull back. But he said no. Around the same time, America joined the war with Britain and Russia, the Allies. In 1944, they landed on France's beaches at Normandy, called D-Day.
Since the American entry into the war, American generals had been agitating for an opportunity to fight the Germans directly. The D-Day invasion of Normandy, in June 1944, represented the cutting edge of this offensive.
They pushed Hitler's army back, town by town. German cities got bombed to bits. Places like Dresden were just rubble. Hitler hid in Berlin, sick and shaky, yelling at maps. His team started to give up on him. Some even tried to kill him with a bomb in 1944, but it didn't work. By early 1945, Russia's army closed in from the east, and the Allies came from the west. Berlin was a mess. Buildings gone, people hiding. Hitler moved into a bunker under the city with his girlfriend, Eva Braun. He married her there, but it didn't last long. On April 30th, with guns booming outside, he shot himself, and she took poison. His helpers burned their bodies. A week later, on May 8th, Germany quit the war. The Third Reich, his big dream, was over. Just ashes and broken streets. Can a leader's mistakes fix the harm he caused? Adolf Hitler's story is about how one guy can change the world, for the worse. He went from a poor kid to a dictator who ran a country and started a war. In his 12 years in charge, over 70 million people died. Soldiers, families, kids. World War II broke cities, countries, and lives. When it ended, Germany was split in two, and people were hungry and lost. The Allies held trials in Nuremberg to punish Nazi leaders. Some got hanged, others locked up. They showed the world what Hitler's team did, especially the Holocaust. 6 million Jews gone. His ideas about hate and power crashed hard. Today, we see his story in books, movies, and places like memorials. Germany rebuilt, but the scars are still there. People visit camps like Auschwitz to remember. Hitler's name warns us what happens when hate grows big and nobody stops it. He's dead, but we can't forget, because forgetting might let it happen again.